Sometimes the most painful feeling is not being hated. It is being treated like you do not matter. Like your presence is optional. Like your absence would change nothing. Have you ever looked at the people you cared about and quietly wondered why they never chose you the same way you chose them? My name is Hannah. I am 19 years old. I listen more than I speak. I care more than I show. And somehow, no one ever asks how I am doing. I am not the loudest person in the room. I do not compete for attention. I am the one people trust with small things they never tell anyone else. I am the one who remembers details no one else notices. I show up, even when it is inconvenient. I make space for people, even when I am already tired. I prioritized others. Their feelings came first. Their happiness mattered more than my own comfort. I thought this was what caring meant. I thought being consistent mattered more than being seen. I thought showing up quietly would be enough. At first, it felt good. Being needed made me feel alive. Helping felt like belonging. I told myself this was what real friendships looked like. I told myself my effort mattered, even if it went unnoticed. But slowly, something started to hurt. Not dramatically. Not suddenly. Just quietly, in ways I ignored. The silence began to weigh more than words ever could. The absence of acknowledgement became heavier than arguments or fights. I noticed I was always the one reaching out. If I did not message first, days passed. Sometimes weeks. No one checked in. No one asked how I was feeling. No one noticed when I disappeared. I explained it away. They are busy. Life is stressful. People forget. I always found excuses for those who never showed up. When they needed support, I was there. When they felt lonely, I listened. When they struggled, I stayed. But when I needed the same, the room felt empty. The silence became a quiet ache. I began feeling invisible. Like I existed only when I was useful. Like my worth depended on how much I could give. I smiled, but inside, I felt exhausted. I wondered why I was always present, yet never prioritized. There were moments when I tested the truth. I stopped reaching out first. I waited. I watched. I wondered if anyone would notice my absence. Most of the time, no one did. That was when the realization began to hit. I was optional. Not unimportant. Just not essential. Someone people appreciated, but never prioritized. And if you've ever felt this way, like no one notices you, like you're invisible, you're going to want to hear the next part carefully. Because what I'm about to share changed how I see myself completely. If you relate at all, hit that subscribe button and stay with me for the full story. You deserve to feel seen. The realization hurt more than any rejection. More than any argument. Because no one had done anything wrong. They simply chose not to notice me. At night, the thoughts grew louder. I replayed conversations. I questioned my worth. I wondered if something about me made others overlook me. Was I too kind? Too available? Too quiet? Or was I simply invisible in the wrong places? I never said these things out loud. I did not want to seem needy. I did not want to burden anyone. So I carried it silently. Convinced myself this was normal. That I was overthinking. But deep down, I felt exhausted. Tired of giving. Tired of hoping. Tired of waiting to be chosen. Halfway through this realization, I paused. I asked myself something important. If you feel this too, it is okay to admit it. It is okay to feel hurt. And it is okay to want more than silence in return. I noticed how quiet my phone was. No messages. No calls. No one asking how I was. And for the first time, I stopped making excuses. I allowed myself to see the truth clearly. I was not a priority. I was optional. That understanding was painful, but honest. It explained the emptiness I felt. The confusion. The quiet sadness I could never put into words. I began noticing patterns I ignored before. How my effort was rarely matched. How my presence was taken for granted. How my absence changed nothing. I did not feel anger. I felt understanding. People choose what matters to them. And sometimes, that choice does not include you. What hurt most was realizing I had been abandoning myself. I lowered my needs. I silenced my feelings. I accepted crumbs to keep others comfortable. I realized I had been measuring my worth by how much I could give. By how little I asked for. By how unnoticed I could stay and still hope for connection. One quiet night, I asked myself a difficult question. Why do I keep choosing people who do not choose me? That question stayed with me. It did not fix the loneliness. It did not give me answers. But it shifted something inside me. I started paying attention to how I felt after interactions. Drained. Empty. Unseen. I learned something important. Being kind should not cost your self-respect. Caring does not mean accepting neglect. Loyalty does not mean staying invisible. I did not transform overnight. I was still quiet. Still thoughtful. Still sensitive. But I became aware. I stopped chasing explanations. I stopped proving my worth. I stopped waiting for validation. I allowed distance without drama. Without announcements. Just quiet steps back. Being optional taught me something. My value does not come from being chosen. It exists even when no one sees it. There is peace in acceptance. Not happiness. Just honesty. I accepted that some connections are one-sided. That some people are only meant to pass through your life. That not everyone will meet you with the same depth. I stopped forcing myself into spaces where I felt invisible. I protected my energy. I listened to my feelings. I realized I could still be kind without overgiving. I could still care without disappearing. I could still love without losing myself. Now, when I prioritize someone, I ask one simple question. Do they make space for me too? If the answer is silence, I listen. Not every realization needs action. Not every ending needs closure. Sometimes, understanding is enough. I am still learning. Still healing. Still human. But I am no longer optional to myself. And as I share this story, I hope you hear it clearly. You are allowed to put yourself first. You are allowed to step back without guilt. You are allowed to exist fully, even if no one notices. If my story resonated, consider subscribing for more honest stories like this. You do not have to face your quiet pain alone. Listening to someone else's story can make your own feel less heavy. And sometimes, that is enough. I am still Hannah. Still 19. Still quiet, still thoughtful, still human. But I am no longer optional, to anyone, especially myself.